Now, there was some concern during the offseason when Irv Smith Jr. Went down with that meniscus injury that ended up requiring surgery and forced him to be placed on the season-ending injured reserve. Obviously, everybody thought Irv was going to take that huge step, basically become the number 3 pass catcher on this team. Obviously, with the injury, that didn't happen. When he went down, obviously, right away we pulled off the Chris Herndon trade, which ended up being a disaster.
Right.
What they should have just done is just put all their trust and belief in Tyler Conklin, because Tyler Conklin ended up coming out having a very solid season for his standards. He's not that super flashy tight end like the Irv Smith, like some of the guys we've seen, like Darren Wallers, the Gronks, that type of thing. But nobody ever thought he was going to be that. For what he is, though, I thought he had a very solid season. He was reliable. He was a reliable pass catcher. Had a couple, I think he had a 2-touchdown game, scored a couple more times. Overall, I was very happy with Tyler Conklin this year. And I think they should have just saved the 4th-round pick and, just gone with him as their guy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. I think, that 4th, I think that was probably, going a little off topic. That's probably the thing with the whole Spielman thing and him getting fired too, is the desperation trades that didn't work out for him, including the one for Herndon. But yeah, I would say I agree. We should have just put all our chips on Conklin. I think he's an above average tight end. And I think works really good for a tight end too. And he made some big plays, some acrobatic plays. We got to see his athleticism a little bit more this year. And, we have guys like Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and the uprise of KJ Osborne. So there's only so much, and then plus Delvin Cook can catch. So there's only so much targets so much the ball can go around or whatever. So, I mean, all that considering, he had a pretty good year. He was our tight end number 1, so he didn't have like those Waller numbers or anything like that. But for stepping in, I thought he did a pretty solid job.
And early on in the season, he gave us a retweet on one of our tweets. That was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
Cool to see. He did. So before we jump into the stats here.
Thanks for watching the GG Sports podcast. I forget to do this every single time. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, get alert notifications of when we drop a video. We're going to keep bringing content to you and keep getting better at bringing content and better quality content. So it'll be worth your while to stick around and watch us. But let's roll into the stats here.
All right. Sounds good. So here, as you can see, is the 2021 season for tight end Tyler Conklin. 61 catches, 593 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 66.7 overall PFF grade at the tight end position. Yeah, that's basically when I heard Conklin was going to start. This is basically what I expected. I was expecting a couple more touchdowns, but overall, I think this is a very solid season for a guy who wasn't expected to be your starting tight end.
I mean, that's top 10 in receptions, 14th, top 15. That's top in the entire league. And a lot of teams do have 2 tight ends. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive for him to step in and honestly be, a better tight end. I mean, especially from like a receiving wise. So I think that's pretty impressive. And then 66.7 is still a pretty solid score from PFF as well. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. He did have the one game with the 2 touchdowns. I don't recall who that was against. Was it Detroit?
I don't remember.
But I know he had a game with 2 touchdowns. Just very solid. I think that's what you get with Tyler Conklin. You get a solid pass catcher, a solid run blocker, just an overall very solid tight end. He's not gonna wow you with any. I mean, it sounds mean, but it's true. He's not gonna wow you with any certain thing he does. But a team will take him because he's that guy. He's reliable at the tight end position. That's all you can ask for, especially for a guy who is probably on most teams going to be a tight end too.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And I think, and I want Irv to come back and be that guy we were hoping for him to be. But I definitely feel very good that we have Conklin as a tight end too, especially if Irv goes down again or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I think, our tight end spots just solid are good. Our tight end spots really good. Our wide receivers are really good. And, I think it's time for us to do a little bit more passing and have our offense roll like that a little bit more, but
we'll see. So let's jump in to the grades here for Tyler Conklin. I want to give him a B just because, I feel like he could have made a little more of an impact in certain areas, but overall I thought he had a B. When I think of a solid grade, I think is B. Like when in school,
yeah,
B, he did solid, right? So that's why I'm going to give him a B. Just a very solid season by a guy who I've repeated this multiple times, and it's just true. Is a tight end 2 on most teams, and you can't ask for much more out of that, especially a guy who's kind of forced into a starting role because the trade didn't work out. So I think a B is a fair grade.
Yeah, I actually agree. I'd give him a B as well. I think when you like in the last video with KJ Osborne, you mentioned the expectation thing. And I think for his expectations, I think he beat the expectations that a lot of people would have on him. So, I mean, I think that's a very good score for him. As far like if you were to compare him with number 1 tight ends, maybe that score would go down a little bit. But since he had to be pushed in and, become our tight end 1 and still had the top 10 in receptions, I think he deserves that grade.
Tyler, if you're watching this, man, we love you. Don't take this personally. It's a good thing. We appreciate your work. Any other thoughts on Tyler Conklin?
No, man. I just, he's a good player. I'm glad we have him.
Yeah, me too. All right. So with that being said, that'll do it for this episode of the GG Sports Podcast. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comment section what your thoughts were on Tyler Conklin. Let us know if you agree with our grades or not. Right up here, you can check out some other videos we have done. We'd really appreciate it. Go give those a watch. Have a lot of fun doing that. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the GG Sports Podcast. And that'll do it. We will see you guys next time.
SKOL Vikes.